If I don't like it, I can paint it over.
Yeah. Okay, here we go.
It's okay.
It is okay.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Yvonne and you are on Ginger Chick Rehab, where I love to take pre-loved secondhand finds that might need a little bit more loving, a little bit of a change to get them to be beautiful home decor again. So in today's video, it's just that. I'm taking thrift store finds, thrifted finds, and sharing with you my vision, my process of making these items over. So we are going to start off with this potting sign. Not that it's a bad sign. It's like a thin metal. But I am an antique buff. I love things rusty crusty. I love things chippy. So if that's your vibe, hit that subscription button. But I'm going to share with you how to make this new sign look old. So first of all, you can tell how super shiny this is. So I'm just going to take some 220 sandpaper and I'm just going to start just scuffy sanding it just a little bit. Just to give the paint that I'm going to paint onto it something to grab onto. Because metal, like the wood will soak the paint in, but metal, the paint is just going to be laying on there. So if you give it something for the paint to grab onto, it'll stay on a little bit better. Okay, I may not have gotten every inch of it, but I got quite a bit of it. So let's get the sanding dust out of here. I just have Dawn dish soap in a bucket, and we're going to go ahead and just get it wiped down. Funny how sanding the green stained, but that is perfectly fine. I didn't have to worry too much about the... Oh, somebody put a string on it. I didn't even notice that. Let's take that string off. There we go. If I replace it, I will put like a wire back on it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to spray the back of it black. I know you could paint both sides of it. I don't want it to look all white and fancy when I'm going to paint. Just the ease and the cost of when you're flipping items, and then the time. The spray paint, of course, dries faster than if I would wait for my paint to have to dry. So my go-to is always this flat spray paint by Rust-Oleum and the flat black. Now, before turning this over and working on the other side, I want to seal my spray paint in. It's just a color to change it. It's not a top coat. So I'm going to go ahead and use some of the Weather Defense clear coat. I'm going to be using shellac on this to help paint adhere to this metal. Remember I said metal, it's not absorbing in, it's just going to be sitting on the top of it. So shellac is a great primer to help bond paint, especially to metal like this. For my potting shed sign, I'm going to be using Birdie, which is kind of like a green blue, robin's egg blue. That'd be fun to do a little bit different of a color. It's very pretty. And then depending on what waxes or anything, you can change your color definitely. Now this one, I don't really want the paint to drip over on the back too much. I'm going to take a little bit of time and just put some painter's tape down to protect what I just had painted. Birdie's the same way. This color seems to be thick, but I don't care. Make sure I get it into that little crevice. Not sure if it'll leak through because that's just screwed in. We'll find out. Told you, it's such a pretty color, isn't it? Okay, we're moving on to our second coat. I already love how it's taken around the letters. It's not chipping off, but we have some beautiful crazing going on there. That's a wonderful detail, popping that white from underneath. But I don't want it to look freshly painted, so I'm going to go through and distress the wood part, getting that edge to go back down to that natural wood, very gingerly trying to get that inside sharp edge also. This is probably going to be a little scary, but I'm going to go back in with my orbital sander and I want to touch the letters. I want to bring some of the metal through, some of the white through, some of the green through, so you can really see the letters, that you can tell that they've weathered being out in the weather in the elements. But it is a little bit scary because you don't want to have a heavy hand like push down really hard on your orbital sander by any means. You just want to lightly with 220 sandpaper go over those letters, and you can start to see the colors popping through. And I have it sanded and dusted, all the sanding dust taken off. I am going to go in with some aging wax over the whole thing. All those crevices are going to get some aging wax to look like dirt and debris have gone into them. The elements have aged this. I absolutely love how the letters turn out, personal taste. I just think it really popped them and give them a little bit more distressing. There's no sense of doing like the whole metal piece because it's just white, but the aging wax will definitely give it some age. After getting the entire sign covered with the aging wax, now I'm going to go in with the clear wax and just buff all that extra brown off, and you'll be able to tell where you didn't get wax because the color won't have changed. So this is just kind of blending it all in together. So if I just rub in the dark wax, it's just going to make the birdie paint even darker. That's not necessarily what I was looking for. I just really wanted that wax to get into those crevices and really look like an aged detail. Another thrift store find is this little cubby, though it is worse for wear, but I love the fact that you can hide and you have a place to store stuff, but then you also can put pretty decor on it just to make a cute little vignette. So we're going to get this cleaned up and give it a new color. And it might have been like a homemade piece at one time, but we'll get the Salvation Army tag off there. You have two little cubbies you could take off if you wanted to. I need a screwdriver to take that off. I love porcelain knobs, so I'll probably reuse it in my design. I'm going to give this just a little bit of scuff sanding. I can see some shiny top coat on it. just some 220. Oh yeah, you can see that, whatever is on there coming off on the sandpaper. Just a bucket of Dawn dish soap, hot water, great prep item. Oh yeah, this is just made out of plywood and particle board, so you don't want to over wet that particle board, because particle board, which is this stuff, will swell. So you didn't want to put that or power wash it. It would not fare well. And let's see what we got in here. Had some mud dabber. Yeah. Well, that was a little disgusting. Usually is. Was not expecting that. You just never know. Welcome to the life of a flipper. You just never know. And that was purchased at a thrift store, so yucky. Probably was stored in an attic or a garage or something, so somebody needed a home. I always say flipping's not for the weak, that's for sure. I love this color. Oh, I wish they would have left it that color. So this piece has lots of brush strokes, and we know that green's underneath it. So unlike the shelf, or unlike the drawer, I'm going to go ahead and use a power sander on this. And for the areas I can't get the power sander in, I'll scuff sand a little bit by hand. Now for this piece, I need to clean it off one more time, get any sanding dust off. Personally, I loved that green color that's underneath there, and I think pantry door will match up. And I was looking for a cracking, chipping, making it look old type of finish. So I'm going to be using Sweet Pickins milk paint that will hopefully give me that type of outcome. So Sweet Pickins is a powder that you mix with water, equal parts. This is just room temperature tap water. And then you just stir all the goodness together. As I'm stirring, I try to push it towards the side. Some people use little mixers, beater, whatever works for you. This is just what works for me. Stir it for 2 minutes, let it thicken up. It's going to start to aerate. You'll see bubbles. And then you let it just sit it off to the side for a few so it can thicken up. I'm waiting for my paint to thicken up. I'm going to be painting that whole body, but the drawer not so much. So I'm just going to tape off the areas that I don't want to accidentally touch with paint. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start painting. Doing the drawer first. I know the drawer is going to end up looking slightly different than the body, only because it doesn't have the layers of paint. Now I know, yeah, I could have put layers of paint on it, but yet again, when we're making something look old-timey, they probably would have just done the same thing I'm doing, just used what paint they had. Doesn't always have to be like this perfect match. That's the fun thing about old stuff. It's tattered and torn and worn and mismatched. Now, unfortunately, I have a lot of surface area to have to paint here with this piece going inside the cubby. It is what it is. Not my favorite thing to do at all, but you just do it because it has to be done. Because now I know I'm going to get paint on my elbow. just always going back, making sure that it's, because it's, milk paint's a little bit sometimes runny, sometimes it thickens up wonderful. So each color I find just sets up a little bit differently. So I like to make sure, just like any paint, that I don't have drips and runs, and I go back and look for them. Okay, now I'm going to go into my second coat. The second coat's really going to grab onto that first coat, and then unfortunately with this being a light color, it's probably going to take 3 coats. I didn't get any crazing or chippiness or anything on this piece, but who cares? It's fine. I'm just going to go ahead and distress it with some sandpaper. I'm going to start off with 220. Crazy. I want to be able to see some of the blue from underneath to make it look like it's been a repainted item. If you want to know how good milk paint sticks, 220 is not enough. So I'm going to go over to the 80, right? Yeah, 80. Make sure that's what I had. And you want to be careful, even though I try hard not to push, especially when you have 80, it'll make those little swirl marks. So that's when you're pushing your sander down too much, too hard. Sometimes with the vacuum, mine just kind of sucks there. See, I like that. So even when after you finish that 80 grit, you got to go back in, smooth it out. So it's a different way of distressing. Sometimes it crackles and crazes and chips, and other times it just soaks in the wood and says, I'm here for a while. And that's exactly what this piece said to me today. So now I don't want to darken up this color at all. I love the brightness of the pantry drawer. I think it's absolutely beautiful. So I'm just going in with the clear wax and sealing the milk paint in. Yes, you need to seal your milk paint in with something. It's a wax on, wax off kind of thing. So you just need to buff the rest of your wax off after you get it put on the entire piece. And you'll be able to tell if you missed a spot here or there because the color won't be the same. And I think the porcelain knob goes beautiful with the pantry door. It really does give it that old-timey kitchen look. So you know how thrifting goes. You kind of pick up items as you see them because you never know if you're going to see them again. Doesn't matter if it's in the season or it's not in the season, like the candy shop. So the candy shop could be Christmas. It could be a candy bar. It's got some yellow paint on it, but kind of looks kind of circusy kind of look. So I wanted to give it like a vibe that you could use for Christmas or that you could keep up all year long if you didn't have a circus theme. I don't know, do you think it's circus theme? So I was trying to decide. I think that this is paper over metal. So one of my favorite things to pick up is metal because I love the transformation. But this one's going to act differently because there's paper over the metal. Now you can try to get the paper off, which ends up being a nightmare. And then if you start to sand it, that's also a nightmare because it's just really hard to get into all the crevices when you're sanding. Yes, you could strip it, but then you got it's a metal sign that I picked up for like 50 cents or so. I don't know how much I paid for it, but yeah, so you don't want to put so much work into it that you're not going to make your money back. Or I might even use it in my display for Christmas. Who knows? Depends. All depends. If it doesn't sell by the time I'm doing Christmas and it's still in my booth, I might anything's a target. Anything's usable if it's in your booth and you have an idea for decor, right? So yes, I'm going to share with you how I seal the paper in to be able to paint over this. So I shop a lot on Amazon because I don't have time to go to stores, hunt for stuff. It's easy just to put it like a buy it again or put it in my cart, save for later. So I notice when I do that, shellac is my next product I'm going to be using. But when the price drops, that will get alerted. So that's awesome. So like the weather defense I just used, sometimes it can range from $10 a can to $19 a can. So just recently it had $10 a can, which is almost half price compared to that $19 when it's in the season, because it's considered an outdoor. But I just love the toughness of it. So yeah, so there's that. I didn't know if anybody knew that. So even if you put it in your cart and then you do a save for later, like you're not going to buy it, it'll alert you when the item goes on, like it'll alert you also when the price increases too. So there's that. But anyway, I just wanted to share that little tidbit in case you all didn't know that. So yes, we're going to go ahead and fill the paper up with a couple coats of shellac. So, I mean, if I started picking at this, you'd be able to tell. But I've had really good luck repainting items using primer coats, is a lot what I use shellac for, to fill in that paper. For my candy shop sign, I'm going to be using red wagon. So it's not too Christmassy of red that it definitely could be left out year round. Okay, here we go. And especially when I'm looking for metal signs, I'm looking to see if the letters are raised. Like, do they have raised letters? I noticed that red wagon, no matter how much I mix up or add water, it always tends to be on the thicker side. Like I said, I think I just noticed that between colors to colors. But yeah, I want those letters to be able to pop out. So I want to make sure my letters are raised. So some beautiful crackling and crazing on this piece. Oh my. So this one, since it's not going to be pretty underneath the paper, I'm just going in with the aging wax. I don't want to do black because I don't want to like darken it up too much. I want to keep it that kind of neutral that you can have it year round or you can use it for Christmas. Everybody's red for Christmas is a little bit different. Wax on, wax off. And then if you want to highlight the letters a little bit more, I'm just going to go in with a fan brush. And instead of going in a circular motion, I'll just work back and forth. That way I'm not taking it all off from where the letters were. Now, sometimes making over items isn't always about like this big overhaul and changing. Just as simple as these cute little prints. Unfortunately, oak's the golden oak's a personal taste, but it's a little dated there. But the print is so super cute. So I think I can just paint over those frames. So my decision, like, do I paint it with the green or do I paint it with the white? Ooh, that's the hardest decision of making these two over. I need to remove the tag showing that I thrifted it. I think I can just tape this off without having to try to lift all those little staples that are going to end up breaking on me anyway. I think I'll just tape off the glass. My white color, I'm going to go ahead and use some Sweet Pickins flower sack. So now for these little frames, I decided to go white, some neutral there, using using Sweet Pickins milk paint in the flower sack. I didn't prime these or seal these or sand them because I'm hoping to get a little bit of chippiness to match what's in the pictures. We'll see. So let's add another coat of paint on here and see what we get. So I didn't get any cracking, crazing, or chippiness on these frames either, so that's okay. I mean, you just have to know that you have to rethink it sometimes. So I'm just going in with the aging wax straight on the dry milk paint. I really wanted to darken up that white milk paint to match the color that's on the one birdhouse in there. So I'm just going to wax on, then I'm going to take some of the clear wax on a shop cloth. I like these shop cloths because they're lint free. They're the ones that you buy in the big box, and then just wipe off that excess, hoping that the aging wax will stick in the little detailed areas of the frame. So this next one, as cute as it is, has been in my booth too long. Nobody wants it. So I'm going to make it over. It is just a new purchase good. So maybe it doesn't look antique enough or the letters are too crisp. I don't know. So yeah, I'm going to sand it off a little bit and give it a new color and maybe put eggs back on it without all the busy wording and see if that helps it sell because it's a cool shape. So I'm not necessarily looking to like take all the wording off. I'm just looking to scuff sand it, get it a little bit flatter, and then we'll see. So even like these, that could have been as simple as somebody not wanting to buy it because it is a pain in the butt to hang something like this. So I'm going to go ahead and take them off right now. I'll figure something else out. I don't know if you can see all the red sandiness. You'd think I had slaughtered the chicken. Oh my goodness. So I did take time to round the edges to make it look like it was more worn. Made it softer that way. So now I'm just going to go back in with some Dawn dish soap, some hot water, just to get the rest of that red dust off there. So when I paint it, I'm not going to be making pink. Oh, that means I'm painting it white, doesn't it? Okay. Time to start painting. I'm hoping that this will be chippy and chips off to the red and maybe some of the old lettering will show, but we'll find out. Milk paint is unpredictable. You think you got it all figured out and it's like, haha, nope. But that is the fun of it. And putting your items on a board and a Lazy Susan. I've had these boards for years. They work, the paint dries, it just builds up, gets a little bit thicker. And a Lazy Susan, so you can turn, turn, and turn at every angle. Okay, second coat. Just slapping it on. Oh, not really. After 3 coats, I don't really have much crackling. I know you can wet it and blow dry it and heat gun it, but I think the paint just soaked into the raw wood without the shellac. It's a no-go on the crackling and crazing on this piece, but that's okay. We can distress it with a sander. Hopefully some of that red will come through. So 220 sandpaper. I'm going to go ahead and do 150. So I can get a little bit more. Okay, now that I've been playing it safe, I'm going to go ahead and do some 80 because I really wanted some of that in between. Now the 80 grit sandpaper is going to leave this all rough, which you don't want. So I'm going to go back in with the 220 and sand it smooth. So some of the signs that sell best for me are ones that have been hand painted, not cricketed out. So this is what I want to do. So I need to figure out my spacing of what my letters should be so that I fill the whole space up. So if I do approximately 1.5 inch letters, we'll see how this works. It's just pencil, I can paint over it, I can resand it. So easier if I wasn't filming, but it's part of my job. I don't have the best handwriting. I'm just getting my letter spacing. I'm going to be painting black over it anyway. There we go, egg dealer. There we go. So now I'm going to get some paint and I'm going to see if I don't destroy my board. I'm going to be using Fusion's Coal Black for my letter colors. That was just my general guide. I can always erase it, sand it off when I sand this off. No making fun of my penmanship. Oh, probably should have had a different brush. It's okay. It is okay. If I had a paint pen, I would have used a paint pen. I don't have a paint pen. Sometimes it's about challenging yourself to do something. Not everybody has a Cricut. Okay, this is as good as it gets. It was easier if I set my camera down to get the letter spacing. The G's were a little bit on the hard side to freehand with a paintbrush. I always say that that kind of artistry is out of my wheelhouse, but now I have to let it dry before I can do anything else. So thank goodness I get to sand it. It'll look a lot better after I sand it. So yes, I don't want it to be raised and bumpy. I want it to be flat and worn, just like the red peeking through the white. And 220 sandpaper should just work for that. So who needs a eraser when you have a sander? I didn't have to worry about my pencil marks in my imperfectly written, but because once I sand it and distressed it, it gives it character. But now I need to seal the whole thing in. So I want to seal this in, but sometimes weather defense will make your item shiny, and I don't want to make it shiny. So I'm going to use some of this clear crayon. Now I notice that this is pretty matte. It's not shiny. It is stinky. We're all stinky. So I love these little light hangers, lightweight. This isn't very heavy. And I think if I center it, I don't see any reason why this shouldn't hang straight. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. Yes, not everything goes as planned. You think you have the paint figured out, and the next thing you know, like, nope, no chippy, no snow cracking on this one. So it's just how it goes. But I can still distress it. You just have to reroute your plan to get that final outlook of what I was looking for, which was a distress. I sell distressed items better than I sell crisp paint jobs. So every area is a little bit different. So you just have to tweak the way that you want to paint. That's just plain and simply, that's how it is. But I hope that I have inspired at least one person out of this video. That just warms my heart to read your guys' comments of, like, the biggest compliment is somebody to use one of the ideas that I have had. So again, thank you so much for watching today's video. And as always, if you're part of our YouTube family, thank you so much. And if you're new and you're checking out the channel for the first time and you liked what you saw, please hit that subscription button along with the notification bell so you know we uploaded a new video. And we will see you next time, guys, and you can see what I'm up to. Bye.